Hey everybody, it's Mitch, and welcome to my next video. Today, we have got another Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 Prestige class for you. And today, coming at you from the Complete Arcane, we have got the Suel Arcanamach. A name I may or may not pronounce correctly every time because I keep wanting to say Suel Archmage for some reason. I don't know, I just read it that way the first time I saw it. And for a long time. But it's the Suel Arcanamach. And what we're going to be talking today about is what is the Suel Arcanamach, what it takes to become a Suel Arcanamach, what you get as a Suel Arcanamach, and finally how good the Suel Arcanamach is and how you might use it in a build. So let's get started. So the Suel Arcanamach, well, it's an interesting one. It's actually got a lot of lore and history behind it. So originally it was a elite group of guards in the Suel Empire that guarded the great Suloese mages, and not only guarded them, but also acted as assassins for to take out the mages of rival Suloese clans. So they were great guards and assassins. They had magic of their own. It wasn't near as potent as the actual mages, but they had it. And they used it in order to guard their mage and to take out enemy mages. It's certainly an interesting prestige class in that regard. Now modern day Suel Arcanamach, what they do is they don't really have the same strict adherence to anything. It's more of a loose group that does train from the ancient texts, but they're not necessarily assassins, although they often are. Yeah, they kind of do their own thing, and they used to have like strict colleges. Now, no, you just read from the texts, and you like learn on your own how to be like a warrior, and then from there you pick up this. So yeah, that's the Suel Arcanamach. Let's talk about how you get in. So first off, base attack bonus +6. So that's fairly high. Again, you're going to want a martial class of some kind to enter. It's got a few skill requirements: concentration, jump, and tumble, all 4 ranks, and spellcraft 5 ranks. Okay, that's not terrible. Feats: combat casting and iron will. All right. Iron Will's an okay-ish feat. It's not the best, though. Combat casting's pretty important, although if you're coming from a martial class, it might be completely useless to you before entering. So, but it will become useful once you're in. So, kind of an interesting one. Language, Ancient Suloese. That ain't going to come up. That ain't going to be useful in the slightest, but you need it to get in, and you also are going to need it for the special requirement, probably. Special: must read the Grimoire Arcanamach or study with a willing master who has done so. And reading it will require you to know Ancient Suloese. Studying with a master does not, but I mean, you need it to get in anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so that's what it takes to get in. Of course, finding a willing master and finding the grimoire could be a bit difficult, so it is what it is. There's a decent chance it'll be at a library somewhere, but hard to say. So yeah, that's what the Suel Arcanamach, what it takes to become one. Let's talk about what they get. So first off, D8 hit dice. It's okay, decent amount. They get a average base attack bonus. Not the best for a martial build, but it's something. They get bad fortitude save, but a good reflex and will save, which is very interesting. Martial classes usually get a good fortitude save, but these ones don't. But these guys are also very much stealthy. In addition, they also get skills 4+ int, and actually a really solid skill list. One of the best ones I've seen in the Complete Arcane. So yeah, really good skill list. The skill points are okay, not anything to brag about, but the list itself is really solid. All right, and next thing it gets is spells. And this is one of the big things that it gets. So it'll get up to 5th level spells over its 10 levels. These spells are drawn from the Wizard Sorcerer list, which is a really good one. They're cast just the same as the Sorcerer does. Their spells known is actually the same as the Sorcerer. There's spells not their spells. Their spell slots, however, their spells per day is a bit low, but it is what it is. It's not it's actually not too bad though. They only get up to 5th level spells though, so that's not the greatest. But their spell list is going to be limited to just abjuration, divination, illusion, and transmutation schools. They won't have access to any spells that aren't of those schools. So that's a little bit of an issue, but those ones are a lot of the better spells, so that's not so bad. Yeah, it's charisma-based casting, just like the Sorcerer. Really, it's basically the same as the Sorcerer, except for, you only get up to 5th level spells and not as many spell slots. And you're limited to just those 4 schools. I think 4. Maybe it was 5. I listed them all. Somebody can do the math. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4. So yeah, that's what they get for spells. They also are going to get the ability to ignore spell failure. So starting at 1st level, they can ignore 5% of spell failure. That'll eventually go up to 20% by 10th level. And that only counts for their Suel Arcanamach spells. Any spells that are cast from other sources do not get this reduced spell failure chance. They also get Tenacious Spell. So basically, Tenacious Spell will make it so that they can add 6 to their caster level for the purposes of dispelling, which is kind of nice. Although, I mean, they're going to be 6 levels behind because of the 6 levels it took to enter this class. So it mostly just makes up for that. And that's at least 6. That's assuming you went for something with a full base attack bonus. They get Dispelling Strike initially once per day, and eventually it'll go up to, I think, 3 times per day. 3 times per day at 10th level. And basically, they can, when they make an attack, they can also do a targeted Dispel Magic, where their caster level is equal to their class level plus 10. So it's, a d20 plus caster level, d20 plus 6 plus their class level is what they'd roll. So again, it's basically just caster level plus 6, which puts them right on par with where a caster would be at that level. Although, once you get past 16th level, that starts to become bad. Same with Tenacious Strike. Then they get Extended Spell Strength. This one's actually pretty cool. So whenever they cast a spell that buffs themselves, and it's targeted at themselves, it'll last for twice as long when on themselves. And even if it targets them as well as other people, it's still twice as long on them. For everyone else, it's normal. So the book actually gives a great example of that. So say they cast Haste and they hit themselves and a few party members. They will get 10 rounds of haste, whereas their party members will only get 5. So they got double. The rest of the party still only gets the normal 5 rounds. So it is what it is. That's kind of cool that they get extended buffing time. Certainly pretty nice. Can actually be very useful with particular spells like Wraith Strike and stuff like that. Being able to do that for 2 rounds instead of 1 really ups the utility of that spell, especially seeing as how good that spell is. Yeah, so that's what the Suel Arcanamach gets. Let's talk about how good they are. Quite frankly, they're all right. They're not a bad prestige class by any stretch of the imagination. It's a good way to put some spell casting on a martial build and also get them some pretty good skills as well. They get a lot of stealth skills and a lot of really useful ones. So they get a skill list very similar to that of an expert, which is nice, or an expert class. Maybe not necessarily the actual expert NPC class, although probably pretty similar. But yeah, it's really, really solid on that regard. It's a great way to add spellcasting and some more skills to a martial build without sacrificing too much in terms of combat. The lower base attack bonus is a bit of an issue, but it's not so bad, especially seeing as you are going to be getting a decent amount from your initial class. And on top of that, it's not too, the amount of skills you get is pretty good. The base attack the D8 hit dice is pretty solid. It's not as good as like a fighter will get, but it's right up there with a ranger. So it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It I think could work really solidly on like a paladin. The big issue with the paladin, of course, being the multi-classing restriction of not being able to go back. But really, you only need 2 to 4 levels of paladin, and then you can kind of drop out fairly safely from that. So maybe grab like 2 to 4 levels of paladin, then go knight for to get yourself up to 6. And then can jump into this, and then maybe jump back into knight, since knight doesn't have the restrictions for multi-classing that the paladin does. And of course, by doing that, you still have to be lawful good and follow the code and all that, which isn't a huge deal. But you can just make your charisma really high and get lots of bonuses from that. That's your main casting stat, plus it'll be what you use to add to all your saves for paladin, as well as if how many turn on dead attempts you get. So yeah, there can definitely be some interesting uses for that. Yeah, definitely some interesting ways you can mix that with paladin. Heck, if you really wanted to go at it with that, you could even do something like with a geomancer and get some fun stuff. Although I don't know how good that would be. It's probably not worth it. Especially seeing as you need quite a few levels of paladin to make that work. But yeah, there's a number of I don't know why I said geomancer. That's actually a bad idea now that I think about it a little bit more. Just popped in my head. Whoop. Anyways, yeah, pretty solid prestige class. Is it the best out there? No. Is it the worst? No. It's solid. It works for what it works for what it is. That's really all there is to it. It can be useful in a lot of interesting builds. So yeah, that's the Suel Arcanamach. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I always love hearing from you. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. Maybe subscribe to the channel for more D&D 3.5 content, because I do one of these on every single class, race, and prestige class in Dungeons & Dragons 3.5. So ring that notification bell so you never miss out on a video. Anyways, as always, I'm Mitch. I'll be seeing you